Hi, everybody. Welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Tommy, and tonight I'm joined by Gregory and Dayna.
Hi.
Tonight we are starting a Gone Too Soon series that ran for one season, My So-Called Life, which ran from 94 to 95. So I'll roll the credits and we'll get into the pilot. So actually right before you came on, Dayna, I was looking at the IMDb page and Greg goes, "Oh, Jared Leto's in this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, he's Jordan Catalano." And he was like, I was like, "The guy that leans sexy?" And he was like, what? Like his mind was blown. He didn't realize that was Jared Leto.
Yeah, baby Jared Leto, like Jared Little, like literally.
Literally. It's just so funny because, I know this is 94 and the actors, even though they played high school students, how old was Claire Danes at that time?
She was probably the closest to a teenager. She was probably like 17.
But they all look like they were like 36 anyway. That's what I don't know if it was the clothing. So he looks better now than he did then, even though he did look good.
It was a lot of plaid. It was like we were still kind of in grunge.
Well, it was 1994.
Yes.
Yeah, you were like 20, right?
Yeah.
It was
94.
Tell us about the 90s.
Nirvana was really big. The grunge look was in 1994. I think Kurt Cobain unalived himself at
was it that year?
That year. Correct.
Wow.
So that whole grunge look was in, the whole tight-waisted what is it? The pleated pants that get tighter around the ankle with the t-shirt underneath with the oversized grunge look on the outside was all in. And
oh my god, yes.
The swoop.
The hair. I had it. It was me.
Yeah.
Dig deep enough in my closet and it's still there.
It's coming. It's all coming back. This time right now is like literally what all the Gen Zers are striving for. The bigger pants, because I guess is the baggy pants, right?
Yeah.
The time of the baggiest pants.
Yeah.
And the oversized everything.
Yeah.
On both ends of the spectrum. Everything was way bigger than what you were meant to wear. And
oh yeah, I used to wear extra large everything.
Yeah. Everything was large. Huge. Extra.
I have a feeling Greg is going to relate to Ricky's wardrobe. I feel like Ricky and Greg may have a similar style.
Yeah.
Very layered.
Suspenders.
Yep. But so our central character is Angela Chase. And I feel like her thought process is very much how a real teenager would think. Like she just wants to like know like the meaning of life, and she's just bored with like everything that's around her.
Yep.
And she doesn't necessarily want to drop her best friend, but she's just like looking for something to like shake things up.
Yeah. Like I just kept thinking like this girl is so rude. Like like she's the kind of teen that like I guess now that I'm in almost middle age makes me go, ugh, teenagers.
Did you know that's the line where she was like, sometimes I dream about stabbing her, like her mother.
Yes. Or just the know-it-allness. Like they feel like they know absolutely everything and they're untouchable.
That dinner scene, yes, that dinner scene was probably the first time that we entered into the teen's head instead of the adult's head. And you're like, yeah. Yeah.
It was like a weird feeling of both feeling like, oh my god, ugh, this teenager, and then going, oh, I thought these things at that time. Like I wasn't too rough with my mom, but like I remember feeling extremely about things that were probably not needed to be felt so deeply about, you know?
But even talking about Jordan Catalano, so the first time we see him, like the scene cuts from like dinner or whatever to school, and she's like, "I'm in love," and we're like,
Girl, you sure? Are you sure it's not love?
I touched his shoulder once.
Yeah,
In freaking it's
I'll
like,
never-
oh god.
I'll never wash this hand again.
But
Or
Yes.
was it the cheek? I don't know.
I just feel like that's such a real like way that teens think. And
Yeah.
I love that it was written that way.
Agreed. Like the silliness, especially in the beginning when like the two girls are just like doing the like I guess accosting people on the street, saying that they're sisters and stuff or whatever to the camera. I was just like the silliness of teens where they think like absolutely everything is so funny and you're like, what are you even talking about? Like they're just the frontal lobe is not developed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they are definitely the girls that even when given bad news would would giggle over it. You know, your cat Tabby is dead.
So Angela ends up dyeing her hair
Yeah.
A darker red?
a dark. It's not fire engine red, but it's red.
It's
Wait.
like
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt,
No.
but which is like literally there was no difference between the two, but it was like a world of difference. And if you didn't notice it, it was like death.
Yes.
Death. And the
Whoa.
mother did not react.
Well, she was like blonde, like red.
Like a mousy brown, like she kind of had a similar color I had, like where you would get way lighter in the summer, so you'd be like they call it blonde now.
She had a natural color, and then
Yeah,
obviously it was a box dye.
Yeah.
exactly, and like compared to what she had before, which was just her natural blonde color, and being like literal, like probably black cherry red, like the very quintessential angst mid-90s red color.
Yeah.
It was, and her mom to just kind of be like, breathe. Like,
You know, and the mother wasn't really too concerned that Wilson Cruz's character was there. Mom was like, we know.
Yeah.
And
You're safe.
It was very random when because all right, so Angela wants to go out with Rayanne. She's like lying, but she doesn't want to lie. So she says she's sleeping at Rayanne's and her parents are going to be there. And her mom's like, well, I don't know this Rayanne. She's like, you met her once.
Yeah.
And then she just randomly says, Ricky's bi. Like, I just feel like that came out of nowhere. And
She was trying to throw, you just throw shit against the wall
like
and see what sticks.
She was just, I guess, trying to like get her mom to react to something.
Yeah.
They're just blurting stuff out. And then the younger sister's like bisexual.
That whole interaction, like, okay, so I have like a younger sister, so a lot of this felt very much like I'm in this show and I don't like it kind of thing. Because it felt very like the age difference felt very similar, but like the little sister going, and then can I go do this? Like, can I watch this horror movie that's horrifically violent? Can I watch that? And then they're like not saying anything to her, just completely ignoring everything.
Watch it, right?
Focusing on Angela because she wants to go and hang out, like sleepover and all that stuff. It was hysterical and also felt way too close to home. Oh God.
Yeah, she just kept saying, I could watch it, right?
I can watch it, right? Saying I can watch it, right? And it's like, and then at the end when she's just like doing the handstand, like just trying to kind of like do the dance to get everybody to pick, like to distract from the fighting. She's like, Dad, look at me. And then she's just doing a headstand for like no reason because they've been screaming at each other for like the last couple minutes.
Look what I can do.
Oh yeah, exactly. It was just like, oh my God, this is so crazy. I understand why the show was so, well received because this is very close to what real life is like.
Even the fight when the mom like kind of like agrees, but she's like annoyed and she's like, great, like you're gonna hold it against me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so she's like crying because her emotions are just like here and
just like this intensity of what to do, because you could tell the mom is conflicted with like telling Angela the right thing that she should do because it's good for her daughter and not being like exactly who her mother was, I guess, because it's like she never wanted to be that type of parent,
Yeah.
but like Angela's really putting her through it.
Yeah.
Like it's
Well,
not
she
like
knows.
Angela's being a nice kid, you know?
She knows she's looking for a reaction, and that's why she's not
Yeah.
reacting.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, I'm not, but how can you not after so long? And you're coming home from freaking work and you got your snot-nosed teenager daughter getting all up in your business, like dyeing her hair when she knows you're not supposed to, just as spite. Like, ugh. See?
We find out from Angela's narration that her father, I guess, went to culinary school.
Yeah.
And he ended up getting a job in the family business from the father-in-law, and then he never left. And essentially, the mom is his boss.
So, what's the problem?
It was 1994. There was still masculinity.
I know, I hate
that
it.
had to be addressed and coddled and discussed. And I'm sure the mere fact that the father was picking up and cleaning up after the kids as the mother was, no, mom didn't cook dinner, right?
No, it seemed like he got home first.
Yeah.
I also liked when she was like, my dad and I are really close. Well, we used to be. My boobs have come between us.
Okay, yeah, and then him. Okay, I had like a big problem with the dad. I don't know what the dad's names. They're not like in my brain yet. They will be eventually. But when he's sitting there telling his wife that like, oh, you need to talk to her about not walking around in towels, like that's your daughter. That's your daughter. You shouldn't be sexualizing, or it shouldn't be any sort of sexualizing conversation about her body coming from you. Point blank, period, end of story. Like, why are you so concerned? Like, it shouldn't even be looking at her like that. And
yeah, that was a weird kind of thing. It's, Graham.
I think the father's name is Graham.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
So I think what they were trying to get at, and they just didn't do it right, was that he's uncomfortable with her
growing up
and like seeing her as a woman
in the grossest way.
I know,
but then the narration kind of pokes fun at it.
It does. Like she says it. She's like, my boobs got in the way of our relationship," and I'm like, that's so. It's like gross to think. I know it's true, but it's still like a. That's your daughter, dude. Yuck.
Yeah. And we also find out through her narration that her mom was adopted.
Oh, yeah.
So, and she said that she tried looking for her biological parents for a while, but then I guess didn't get any leads and just kind of gave up.
She's gone the Maury show.
The Maury show.
Get a DNA test.
So Rayanne, Ricky, and Angela are gonna go to this club. There's this neighbor who I don't know if he has a crush on Angela or if they just like grew up next door and they were friends at some point. He seems to be a little bit of a thorn in her side, like telling her that she's doing the wrong thing and she doesn't want to hear it.
Very little brother energy in a weird way. Like
keeps him in the friend zone.
Yeah, I think and of course, like what's gonna happen is he's gonna what I would imagine what would happen is he would grow up and get hot, and then eventually she realizes after many failed other relationships that she should have just been with the nice guy across the street that looked out for her whole entire life.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, before we get to the club, there was a party, and Jordan Catalano was there. And at some point, Angela fell and got like dirt all over her.
She got pushed over, I thought.
Yeah, she goes into like the pool house or in the house to like get washed up, and Jordan's just sitting there in the dark by himself, like watching MTV.
Yeah, being is so brooding like the best of them.
Not like they make eye contact, but like don't talk at all, except for when he's like, doesn't feel like a Friday. She's like, because it's Thursday.
Yesterday was Wednesday.
She's like, so that's how I know. And he was just like, And then his friends are like, let's get out of here. And he's like, all right.
But it truly was, as the episode started to progress, I was like, oh my God, I remember watching this and I remember the awkwardness and how uncomfortable it was.
Did it make you uncomfortable again?
Yeah.
So it reminded me of like times when like you were finally in the vicinity of like the person that you really like and you haven't had a chance to like talk to them, and like how much your whole body would set like on fire from the anxiety of talking to them, making any sort of conversation.
Thank God I'm this old.
Right? Heart pounding, like just your whole body just goes in full chills. Like it's just like, and you just try to squeak out a hey, hey. Literally.
We are alone. This is my moment.
It was Wednesday.
It's Wednesday, actually.
Meanwhile,
he's a good leaner. He leans.
Again, like the whole idea when like I touched his shoulder one time, it was just like I know those feelings. So when she was like describing them, it kind of gave me like a weird like flashback to like those moments of like bumping into someone in the hallway or like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Oh gosh.
Also, there was a scene where I guess they were talking about the club, the three of them, Rayanne, Ricky, and Angela. And Ricky was like putting his eyeliner on, and I didn't realize it until the scene ended. I was like, wait a minute, Ricky was in the girls' room?
Yeah.
Nobody said anything.
He's a safe boy. That's what it comes down to. He's a safe boy.
Did you hang out in the girls' room?
Around him? Whatever that means, he's a safe boy. Like
they understood he was safe.
Yes, that he was not going to do anything to them. Whatever that meant, you know. Yeah. And I will say throughout the episode, you start to kind of notice that we kind of got dropped into Angela making the transition, right? From good girl to not so good girl.
Quickly.
Yes, quickly. And like with the best friend interaction. But then there's that moment when she's in that bathroom in that scene and the bell rings, like the second bell rings, she starts to freak out. And she like looks back at her friends and her friends are like, why are you freaking out? And she's like, oh, well, you know, we'll just go to class as well. And then she gets out of the bathroom and then hauls ass down the hall to get to class. And it's just kind of like, oh, girl, I hope she's not forcing something that's not intrinsically like a part of her, but she doesn't know that yet. She's so young.
She has a friend. I didn't catch her name. I guess this is like her best friend from childhood.
Yeah.
It seems to be pretty straight-laced, gets good grades. Angela quits the yearbook?
Yes.
Or newspaper?
Yearbook.
And I laughed because I felt like it was a real moment. The teacher wants to talk to Angela because she's been her grades have been dropping and she quit yearbook. And she's like, I hope you don't mind that I'm eating. She's like, because I don't get a lunch break. And I thought about you. He's a teacher.
And you're like, oh, it does not get better, sweetie. You're never going to have a lunch break again.
No. Where was I going with this?
Well, she like asks her straight up, like, is there stuff going on with you?
Yeah. And she starts to get poetic and deep, as deep as a 15-year-old can get.
Yeah.
She thinks deep.
Yeah.
She's right.
Like the new Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Right.
No pun intended for her next career choice.
You ever just think about how everything you thought mattered doesn't?
Yeah. Like she's intentionally trying to be profound, like have a very profound moment. And I mean, like, if you want to look at it that way, you definitely can. But I think perception can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
But it just shows her immaturity when she goes and waxes poetic, kind of like that. You're like, girl, you haven't done anything. What are you talking about?
She's like, you know, we're all just doing things because we're supposed to, not because we want to. And like,
God, it was such. Can I tell you, this was the mid '90s. Okay, this is exactly what everyone was having an existential crisis at the time. It was like
And we're fine now.
we're fine now. You know what's so hysterical is that like during that decade was probably one of the best like flourishing moments for like the middle class like in recent decades, and we were so upset about everything, you know, like you're still really upset. And I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of shit was happening, like that's just being very like wishy-washy about
Yeah.
a lot of stuff, but like
we're still 2 years from the Spice Girls. The Spice Girls hadn't come to save us.
I know life hasn't quite like got to epitome yet, but like
A
she,
fun fact, 1994 was when Nancy Kerrigan got her knee smashed.
Oh, I know.
oh,
I know. The
That-
90s.
That's what was happening that year.
Yep.
The side ponytail.
so
Listen, 9-year-old Tommy was all over the newspaper every single day. I don't know why I was obsessed with it, but I was.
yeah. So like I know I don't know, like I'm trying to figure out when like think about in my head when Columbine happened because that really rocked a lot of things.
That was
I know it was in
99.
the 90s. Was it in the late 90s?
It was, yeah, that was
Yeah,
99.
yeah, okay. Like
I,
not quite yet.
But leading up to it, so that social
Yeah.
angst that was happening right now, what was on the pages of that script that were kind of
Yeah.
pushing the truth of what was happening to children at the time, the anxiety that was happening with adolescents, and figuring out where they are in the world is truly a leading to that moment.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's kind of like a tipping point too, if you
Yeah.
think about it. Like ever since Columbine happened, it just never really quite came back around, did it?
no. Too many copycats.
Uh-huh.
So I guess we can get to the club. Oh no. So I brought up the bathroom because her friend is just like, so when did you decide to stop talking to me? And she's like, I'm not talking to you. And then they're both like crying, and they're kind of like, we're not friends anymore. But like because they've been friends for so long, she's like, did your mom like wig out when like she saw your hair? And she's like, yeah. And she's just like, what did she say? She's like, I hate it personally.
Yeah.
But she even tries to make a dig at her. She's like, I just thought you should know what people are saying about you.
Right. But she opens it up with like, I'm trying to help you out because I'm still a good person and you obviously are not.
Even though you're not talking to me right now.
Yeah. But I mean, I felt for that poor girl too. Because it's kind of like it's obviously it wasn't a clean break. It's not like Angela was like, hey, you know, we're not like was mature enough to be like, hey man, we can't be friends anymore. I'm just growing apart or whatever.
But again, I feel like that's also a real thing that happens. Like because she says, I just want to know what I did to make you not want to talk to me. And she's like, it's not like one thing. Like she's just like, she doesn't know what she wants.
It's literally one of those things that happens with you that kind of sticks with you for your whole life. Like you kind of think about it every time you're in another friendship. It's like that first time when a friend really screws you over or someone leaves you or something like that sticks right in the craw for like until you therapize it as much as you can.
And then don't trust anybody and had failed relationship after failed relationship until you're living with 6 cats.
Yeah, all
because they love you unconditionally.
All because Josephine just stopped taking your calls that one time and then like, you know, threw rocks at you with some of the popular girls, you know, that happens.
Yeah. So now we can talk about the club. So they go to the club. They're like drinking outside, waiting, trying to find some. I think Ricky's cousin's supposed to show up.
Yeah.
So they're trying to like get in. Yeah. Do they even have fake IDs? I don't even know. Like,
no, they were like, someone can get us in. So they keep trying to get like an older person to kind of like vouch for them to get into the club.
Meanwhile, they're getting like trashed. They have a bottle of brown liquor and they're just getting drunk.
Yeah. As one does.
Angela and Rayanne trade shoes, which also felt like a real moment. Like, hey, let's just like trade outfits or whatever.
Yeah. So, oh gosh.
These two guys come out of the club and Rayanne, because she's drunk, flirts hard with them. And the one guy knows that they're too young. But the other guy is kind of coming on strong.
Yeah.
And Rianne, being, drunk and also the button pusher that she is, gets in his face.
And doesn't understand
that now this is dangerous.
Yeah. Yep. Because she's drunk, like completely inebriated. Like she was really bad. Like for tiny little girl, she didn't need that much. And
Didn't she like throw the bottle?
well,
Yeah.
so she kind of like gets in the guy's face. I guess she was kind of into the idea of like maybe making out or something, but then he tries to assault her and she's like, nah, thanks. And then Angela comes and jumps on him and tells him to get out. So she rips off it. And then he, of course, gets mad because don't stop the assault.
Yeah.
I need to touch you. And then his friend like gets in between.
Yeah.
And she then takes the bottle, I guess she was drinking at, and then hurls at it and smashes against the car right next to his face, which makes it even worse.
Right. Yeah. So then the cops show up and Ricky like's like, I gotta get out of here. He's like, she always does this. She won't remember in the morning or whatever.
Yeah, she gets blackout. She blacks out when she's drunk.
Yeah. And he gives Angela like a sweet little kiss on the cheek and he kind of like runs off.
Yeah.
So, there was something that happened before all this when they were waiting to get in. They were like just being teenagers talking and talking about the most romantic thing that could ever be said. And Angela said something like, what did she say? I forgot what she said because I was like, I'm going to remember it and I didn't.
I gotta write it on the note.
Oh, I love you. Oh, I love you so much it hurts. That's what she said. And Ricky thought that was like so romantic, and Rianne was just like, okay.
Poetry in the 90s.
Oh my god. Literally.
They don't get arrested, but the girls get put into the back of a cop car. And of course, Jordan's showing up to this club and he sees Angela getting put into the back of this cop car. So for her, she's like, this is my cool moment. He's watching me get arrested. Because I'm so bad. I'm such a bad girl.
Rebel. Oh, hey, look at me.
And he even takes notice and like shouts, Angela? Like,
and then she's like,
he knows my name.
Oh my god, yeah. Like sets up this like standard or whatever that she's now gonna have to keep up, that she's that cool and that it like rebellious or whatever.
Right. So they don't get arrested, they just get taken home. But Rianne reiterates that line. First, she's like, like, I'm always going to look out for you. She's like, I got your back. And then she doesn't say it exactly, but she says something about, like, basically implying I care about you so much it hurts. So she was listening, even though she's, like, trashed. You see that her house was dark. Rianne's parents obviously are not involved actively in her life. And that's
it's Abby all over again from Dawson's Creek. It's Abby. It's Abby in my so-called life. It's Abby before Abby.
Well, so it's a very interesting moment in history at this particular point because the latchkey kid or the I don't know if they were divorced or whatever, or the non available parents is what makes you it makes you do bad choices.
Yeah. Well, you have nothing stopping you.
Correct. Now, Claire Danes' character has a mom and a dad, and even though she's trying to be that bad girl, there's still that safety net that's kind of there. So she gets to go home to two loving parents, and not to spoil the last scene, but the last scene with her mother, and this poor girl walks into an empty house.
Yeah, the difference between the two. Hence why they want to do like the motivation to get blackout drunk is not within Angela's DNA to do. Like I'm pretty sure she's sober through the whole thing. I don't know if I can't remember if she took a couple swigs or not, but
yeah,
she seemed the most together, and Ran was not. She was 3 sheets to the wind, and it's obviously a need to do that because you forget about whatever's bothering you. You don't have to think about it most of the time when you're that inebriated. But
there was also this underlying, I guess they were reading Anne Frank in school.
Yeah.
Again, Anne Frank.
yeah. Like,
and, like she's like talking to the cop about Anne Frank, and they're having like this like intellectual conversation when he's like driving her home.
Right. So like the audience was made to believe that she just could care less.
Yeah.
Right. She's just giving up. She doesn't want to be in class. She thinks high school's useless. It's worthless. Blah blah. Even in class, she says incredibly like, I guess like insensitive thing to say in class. Like she was lucky to be stuck in a room with a boy she liked. Like, come on, like you're being hunted down.
Because self-centered, right?
Right.
Centered.
That's why
1994
exactly.
is
so like the viewer's supposed to believe that that's what she is, but what you learn is that she actually read that whole book. She knows everything about it. She's still like that kid that is growing
into not to hand in the assignments.
Yeah. Like she still hands her assignments on time. She's still gonna have that good grade. You know what I mean? So like there's something still in her that is like this is not truly who she's supposed to be. She's pushing it's all boundary pushing.
Yeah.
At this time. And I like go, gross, why would you do that? This is such a horrible and I keep remembering like, no, it's just like Dawson's Creek. No, Dayna, this is how children learn. Like they have to do these things to learn. Can't protect them forever.
So he lets her out and her neighbor's there and he basically tells the neighbor to like look out for her.
Be a good friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I mean, this is a nice cop. Cop didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah. And they have their little banter back and forth. And then she sees her father at the end of the block with what looked like a younger woman.
Yeah.
A woman.
Kind of Dawson's Creek pilot-ish when Joey caught Dawson's mom.
Exactly.
But they weren't making out. They were just having conversation down the block. But obviously, there's something fishy going on
there. That's because that was the invention of emotional cheating. Is cheating.
Yeah, but at the same time,
we will see. But
it implies that he lied to his wife about where he was going. He said he was going to see his brother. That's not his brother.
And she said twice. She said twice this week.
Yeah, twice this week. That's what I mean. Like,
well, he had needs.
He could communicate is all I'm gonna say. Like, to me, it's one of those things that it's like if you're unhappy, sometimes it's kind of like it's the same thing with Gail. It's like don't let the 15, 16-year-olds come up to you and say, I know what's going on in your situation. Get it together. Get it together, or I need to get it together for you. It's like, come on, you're an adult. Figure it out. Like there's like don't let like she had to walk up on that. Like as if she was never gonna be down the street ever. You know? Some people want to talk.
I'm not sure if this is what triggers her to feel bad for her mom and then like kind of like apologize and have this like breakdown.
The same thing.
Or if she genuinely is just overwhelmed by everything that's happened and she's just tired now.
I think, you know what? I actually didn't think about that, but I think that was what broke the Ice Queen. I think that moment was just like, wait, I need mommy for a second.
Yeah. So she apologizes about the hair.
Yeah.
The way she's acting.
Yeah. Now, do you think it was because of the experience at the club, or do you think it was the combination of almost getting into a really messy situation and almost possibly arrested to then getting caught with the police at your house, then to catching something shady happening with your dad? And then
everything. I think it just boiled over.
Right after the other, right? And then she walks through
because she's so emotional.
Yeah. And then that's the line where we learn that because her mom's been looking for her family, like her biological family this whole time. And that's, I mean, we're led to believe that's what she's doing on the bed when she walks in.
Oh, I didn't even think that.
It's what I kind of thought because she had all
just like reading. I didn't even like pick up on that.
I thought she brought more calm.
Yeah, like I thought it was her continuing.
No, but it could be because why would she mention that at that moment? So it must be that.
Yeah, like and then some like so then it creates this overwhelming sense of sympathy towards the mother, like and how much she's been treating her like utter garbage through the whole episode, like doing everything and saying everything she could to set her off from top to like literally the morning till night to just find out that maybe her husband's cheating on her and she's a human being who deserves kindness, you know?
So she basically crawls into bed and her mom, like, you know, they cuddle and she calms her down. She says, I was so exhausted, I fell asleep. So she definitely was just like here with
It's
everything
everything.
that she fell asleep.
100%.
But I'm not a parent, obviously. But I feel like that's one of those moments where like your kid can be such an asshole, but then there's those moments where they're just your baby again. And that was
Yeah.
That's why you don't kill them when they color their hair.
Right? I mean, it's the ebb and flow. It's a part of raising a human. They're a human, right? Like they're not gonna be like perfect things, and that's why I don't know. Sometimes I wonder to myself because like terrible twos apparently are supposed to be like one of the worst parts of like raising a kid. They just can't like they want stuff, but they don't know how to get it. You know.
yeah.
And then it's like a whole nother level that times like 100 when you get into teens, like puberty till like 17, 18 apparently is like the worst ever because they know everything.
Mhm.
They've lived 10 years, 15 years. They know the whole world. They know everything. They're good. We're great. Unshakable. We're
And
never
then
going to die.
the episode ends. I guess it's Monday. I guess that was the weekend. And Jordan finds Angela and he's like, oh, you out on bail or whatever, like joking around with her. And then she's just like, yeah, whatever. And then he leans because he's a good leaner and he looks like he's pained and he's just like, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to go. Like, what? And then Rayanne, sober, it's like Monday, like ready to just start the week and do it all over again. Like,
I'm telling you right now, like this show makes me put together so many like probably cutaway references to it, like watching maybe Family Guy or some other thing that made like some sort of spoof against this. Like seeing those scenes, I was like, that's what it's from. Oh,
Right.
okay. Like I get it now.
wow.
Like that scene, I feel like I've seen as like a cutaway like spoof from like on Family Guy before, where it was just like him making complete nonsense, just looking cool. Like,
He's a good leaner.
I think even when she was saying like I'm in love, he's a good leaner. I touched his shoulder once, whatever. She may have even said he always looks like he's in pain. Like he's always just
like he's just so deep, like he feels so many things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, what?
Wasn't it in the bathroom scene where they were talking and she's like, do you want to, I don't remember the exact, do you want to kiss him or, you know, have sex with him? And she's like, I don't want to kiss him, but I do want to have sex with him or whatever that scene was.
Yeah. She made it apparent that she would love to have it all. She
Yeah.
wants to be with him. Even if it's just a fleeting little kiss moment, she'll take it. She'll take literally anything he will give her. She's obsessed.
There were like a couple of like extra girls that were in the bathroom that walked out, and one of them looked familiar, and I was like, no, it can't be. Do you know who Bianca Lawson is?
I do not.
She's like probably pushing 50 at this point, and she still looks so young that she still plays teenagers to this day.
Okay.
You saw Buffy, right?
Yes.
She was Kendra, the vampire slayer in the second season.
Oh, I don't know. Hold on, let me.
I was gonna say insert picture here.
She's done Pretty Little Liars. It was like 20 years after Buffy, I feel like.
Yeah.
But she's always playing a teenager, and she's definitely in her 40s.
I know her. Okay, yeah.
So she was one of those girls. She was one of the extra girls because I was like, no, because I knew she got her start on Saved by the Bell, the new class in '93. But I looked it up. She just doesn't age.
No.
And it's not really a spoiler, but she's gonna be on Dawson's Creek in season 3.
Oh, crossover! I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah!
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So overall, what did you think about the pilot for the show?
Oh, so much angst. So much angst and stuff. Oh my god. Like it's kind of how I felt about Dawson's Creek, not gonna lie. Very similar.
At least you
Like,
didn't need a dictionary to know what they were saying.
right, true. Like the obviously the dialogue was way true to form than Dawson's Creek because obviously they're just word salading up like as much as they can.
Mhm.
But the nostalgia, the idea that like not just from the fashion or like the time, but like how she reacts specifically, I was triggered most how she reacted with her mom because
Mhm.
like I was very much like, I want to dye my hair like purple. I'm gonna get my tongue pierced. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. My mom's just kind of like, whatever you want to do, just don't do it without me. Let me dye your hair so you don't burn your scalp off or let your friend do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
that was kind
yeah,
of the rule in our family. Like, please learn from my one mistake. Like
right.
anything.
Like some level of control. Let me have some level of control. Like if you're going with like purple hair, let me just get it so it's actually purple, not like green by accident or something like that. Because like I'm a dumb teenager whose frontal lobe is not fully there.
Right.
So like there was a lot of that, and my mom was very loose, like just go out, come back by dark kind of situations, and you get into a lot of trouble when there's that much rope to hang yourself with.
Yeah.
And I watching what Angela's doing through all this, it felt very real because I feel like I've been in those like scary situations where like things could have went horrifically bad, but just by some grace did
Yeah.
not, and by luck of
Yes.
friends that cared about you enough to not let you do that thing, or just again luck, sheer
I
luck.
think I think we all probably have those moments where if we look back, we're like, "How am I alive?"
Yeah, how did I survive that? How did I not get out of that without being maimed or psychologically damaged, a lot of like, I mean, when I was young, like that age, like 16, 17, 18, stuff like that, where things got wild, probably too wild for that young. Now looking at it, it's like, oh my god, my mom knew half the shit I did. She would have probably died from like just the stress
Yeah.
alone. But don't see no evil, no hear no evil. You know what I mean? No speak no evil kind of thing.
What did you think of the pilot from like a teacher's perspective? Like, are you like absolutely that's how teenagers act?
So they still are right now.
Yeah.
My fifth graders had a major shift
Oh,
over the past month or two. Some of the shifts started a little bit earlier than some of the girls, I should say, than the boys because of their hormones,
yeah.
and
It's that
they
time.
are it is there is this like major shift, and I've been teaching for 27 years, and I'm just like, oh, I can't wait to see you in 10th grade where
It's
Yeah.
settled.
like
Well,
it settles.
we can come back down from the apex of the severity that is puberty. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I literally, somebody asked me, how are the last few weeks going, and I was just like, I have a fifth grader make me cry at least once a day.
Oh, they're brutal. They're brutal, man.
So yeah, it is. The lingo is different than obviously 94.
This is pre-social media.
Correct,
Yes.
because right now everything is a sound bite with my students.
Yeah.
Everything is a gesture and a movement with my students
It's even
that is a repetitive TikTok.
cell phones were around, but they weren't in everybody's household. So it's
Like
pre-cell phone
the
too.
business dads had them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had Doom at that time. Like an old probably I don't maybe it was I
A
think it's definitely
Motorola.
Windows. And we are only allowed to play Doom on it.
Oh,
And that's it. And that's he just it's a first person shooter. My dad must have had it and I found it on the computer and that's all she wrote.
right.
But all right, you have anything else to add before I wrap this up?
No, I'm just nervous about what's gonna happen to Angela.
You're always so nervous.
Well, it's I always just like I don't know. Again, that's why I feel like old fartsy McGee over here because I'm like it's unsafe. Call your mother. Like, don't go down that
Like-
alley. Like, Don't be with that boy. He just wants to have sex with you. Wear protection. Like,
no. You are. There are repercussions that will last for decades.
Exactly. So like, I'm nervous for her, like as if I'm like her auntie that she calls randomly to like dish to, and be like, "No, that's not safe. You shouldn't."
I'm like, don't do that. I'm just feeling at this age.
Like, you need new friends, girl. They're not very good friends. Where's your old friend?
Yeah, but of course, teenagers don't want to hear that. They think they know everything.
No, they don't want that from me. I mean, my nephew's starting to turn into that age. He's 11, so he's getting into the like, you are disgusting, and I don't ever want to see your stupid face. And it's just like, you're gonna hurt my feelings. Like you're legitimately gonna make me cry. This is back to high school. Why would you do that to me? Like,
because we're now adults, so we're old farts, and they are the first human beings to ever have human being, and they know everything.
Oh yeah, they're like,
oh God, my poor parents.
Right.
But, all right, well, thank you for joining us for our discussion about the pilot of My So-Called Life. As always, you can find us on all the socials at Queers and Soaps, and until next time, have a great night. Bye.